Hello, Year 6. Hope you're all well, and I hope that now we're all caught up, we're on the same place in the book, and we're ready to read on. So hopefully you've had the chance over the last week to catch up with where we were, and we're ready to read on from chapter 16. Okay, so chapter 16 is Cloud Cover. The next day I woke up early. I looked out of the window to find thick cloud covering London. Humidity had increased overnight. If I'd been the weatherman that morning, I would have said an area of low pressure was moving in from the west, with closely packed isobars and a chance of thunder. Kat was already up. She was sitting at my desk, arranging the list of theories on one side, the souvenir photo she'd bought of the eye, and Salim's camera on the other side. "These are the theories," she said, "and these are the clues. I've thought it out during the night, Ted. I have a plan." I know about Kat's plans. They always involve doing things Mum and Dad would have told us not to do. I shuffled up to her side. "A plan?" I said. "Three plans. First, we develop this film. The photographs may reveal another clue. You never know." I nodded. This seemed good. "Then we test theory number 8. I wasn't sure what this involved, but said nothing. "And then we take another ride on the eye." I thought about this. Revisiting the place where Salim had disappeared was a good idea. In detective stories, when the sleuth revisits the scene of the crime, he always finds a clue that has been overlooked by the ordinary police. But there was a problem. "Mum will never allow it," I said. "If she says no, we'll sneak out." "That would be wrong, Kat. Besides, we haven't got any money for the tickets." Kat reached for her leopard skin backpack. She took out some large notes and 3 £1 coins. "Mum and Auntie Glo gave me this money yesterday, remember? For the 5 tickets. The souvenir was £7. This is what's left." "Shouldn't you give it back to Mum, Kat? Stealing is bad. It says so in the Bible." "Shut up, Ted. She hasn't asked for it. She's forgotten." I went. Kat shrugged. "Mum thinks it's my fault that Salim went missing." "Fine, I'll give her the money back in my own time. It's a loan, not stealing." She turned to the window, threw it open, and leaned outside. She put Salim's camera to her eye and clicked 18 times. She took 18 photographs of our back garden, with the washing on the line, and beyond that, the shed. I did not think that these would make very interesting shots. When she finished clicking, the film rewound itself. She examined the camera carefully. "Found it," she said. She pressed a button on the side, and the back of the camera jumped open. She took out the roll of film. "That's plan A," she said. "Now plan B." She put on her long dressing gown over her nightdress and stood there with the back of the gown draped over her arm. "Come on," she said. I stared. "Don't you want to test your theory?" she said. She picked up the sheet with the 8 theories and read the last one out loud, about Salim hiding in somebody else's clothes. Now it came down to it, I didn't much like the idea of getting under Kat's dressing gown. I said. She took me by the elbow and dragged me downstairs. In the hallway, she made me crouch down behind her and humped the back of the dressing gown over my shoulders. She made me put my hands around her waist and practice walking up and down. Then we walked into the kitchen. It reminded me of the time Dad had played the back half of a donkey in the school pantomime. I could hear, but not see, that Mum was washing up glasses from the night before. She must have looked round. "Hello, Kat," she said. Her voice had a sighing sound in it. "What on earth's Ted doing at the back of your dressing gown?" I got out and stood up, blinking. "Told you," said Kat. "Is this some kind of joke?" Mum said. "We were checking a theory of mine, Mum," I said, "about how Salim might have left the pod without us noticing. It's only one of 8. Mum looked at me, and she looked at Kat. A grimy glass was in her hand. It dropped back into the suds. She took off her rubber gloves. "Kat," she said, "can you finish this?" Her words were ordinary, but her face was a Siberian permafrost. Kat took over the washing up without saying a word. Now, what do we think the author means here by "her face was a Siberian permafrost"? This is something that Ted's used before, a type of weather or something linked to the weather to describe someone's emotion. So if you're not sure what that means, have a look at that for me. Think about why Ted's used that and what it might mean about how Mum's reacted to this. Okay. Mum went through to the living room and sat there, very still. "Ted," she called, "I want to talk to you." I was in trouble. I didn't know why. I said, going through and standing before her. "Ted," she said. Her left hand stroked her forehead. You and your theories. Salim's gone missing, Ted. It's not a game. Not a game, I repeated. I don't think you realise how serious it is. Serious, I agreed. Don't keep repeating what I say. Don't grunt. I've told you about that before. Remember? Sorry. And remember to look at me properly when I'm talking to you. I concentrated on making my eyes move so that instead of looking at Mum's shoulder, I was looking at her face. Her eyes were small and her skin was white and her lips were turned down. Ted, she leaned over and touched my hand. Just think for a minute. What if Auntie Glo had seen you? How would she have felt? My hand started to shake. But Mum, we've got these theories, 8 of them, and... Ted, no. My head went off to one side. I checked out the swirls on the carpet. My hand flapped harder. Mum's usually the one to understand me in this house. She stuck up for me countless times when I tried to explain my theories about weather systems or the remarkable phenomenon of the universe, and Kat tells me to shut up. It's Mum who tells Kat not to be rude. But since Salim's disappearance, it had been the other way round. Kat was listening, Mum wasn't. I could hear Kat in the kitchen. Plates and pans clattered. I did something I'd never done before. I didn't answer Mum. I didn't even go, I went back into the kitchen, I picked up a glass from the draining board and I smashed it to the floor. Kat looked at me, eyes wide. God, what next? Mum wailed, coming through to the kitchen after me. Our best crystal. Sorry, Mum, Kat said. It was my fault, not Ted's. It slipped. But Mum had seen it happen. We all looked at the glass on the floor, and I hummed, and my hands flapped, and I didn't stop it, and Mum didn't tell me to stop it. She looked on in silence while Kat got out the dustpan and brush and swept up the mess. Then she sat on a chair in the kitchen, at the kitchen table, her head in her hands, and I knew I'd made her sad, and I wanted to go back to my room. Then Dad came in. He was wearing jeans and an old shirt, which meant he thought it was the weekend and he didn't have to go work. Although he did, because it was Tuesday. He went up to the sink, shuffled Kat to one side, took the mug she had just washed up, turned the cold tap on, filled it up and gulped it down. He finished the water, filled the mug a second time and gulped it down again. Kat nudged me and nodded her head. There were 2 wine bottles and a half-empty brandy bottle and a third empty whiskey bottle on the fridge. I remember reading that alcohol, even though it is liquid, makes you thirsty. If you're marooned in a calm sea with barrels of wine and no water, there are 2 things you shouldn't do. Drink the wine or drink the sea. Actually, there's a third thing you shouldn't drink. Maybe you can guess what. So, Mum said, someone's not going to work today. I looked around the room, wondering whom she meant. Dad knocked back another glass. Somebody's already rung in sick. Feel rotten, Faye. Really do. Where's Gloria? Still asleep. Thank the Lord for small mercies. Dad, Kat began. Mum? She let out the suds, took the mug from Dad, rinsed it and upended it on the draining board. Ted and I, she said, we were wondering. We'd like to go out today. Mum's lips pursed and her eyes rolled. After what happened yesterday, not to mention Ted breaking that glass just now, it's out of the question. You're grounded, both of you. But... No buts. Dad cleared his throat. He took Mum by the arm and led her into the living room. He closed the door behind them. I could hear them arguing in undertones. Kat leaned over and whispered, Dad's on our side. I know it. He'll get Mum to let us go out. You wait and see. Kat was right. 45 minutes later, she and I were walking out of the house, along with Dad. Mum said goodbye in the hallway. Her arms darted out as I passed her, and she gave me a hug. The hug was very short because she knows I do not like hugs of any kind. I saw her face up close. It was red and blotchy, which meant she had been crying and was unhappy still. Have a good day, all of you, she said. Dad took his mobile phone in case of news. As we walked towards the tube station, Dad asked, Where do you 2 want to go? The Science Museum, I said. Kat kicked my shin. A very rude thing to do. Actually, I want to go to the shopping centre first, Dad, she said. Not more CDs, Kat. Oh no, I just have to nip into the chemist's. She held out her hand and wiggled her fingernails, which were painted silver. For some nail polish remover. Can't wait to see the back of that stuff, Dad said. It makes you look like an alien in a B-movie. While Kat was in the chemist, Dad and I waited outside, and he told me what a B-movie was, and how films like Creature from the Black Lagoon or Catwoman of the Moon, which Dad has in his collection, were made on low budgets, with poor quality props and actors, and were so bad that they were funny, and had a cult following. I asked Dad what a cult following was. Dad said a cult following was a fan club of something that wasn't mainstream, which means something that only a certain number of people like. I was asking Dad how many fans it took to make something move from being side stream to mainstream when Kat reappeared, brandishing a bottle of blue liquid. Got your paint stripper? Dad said to her. Yeah, thanks, Dad. Where next? Ted had an idea, didn't you? Yes, Kat, the Science Museum. Not that one, the idea before that one. Her little finger went round in a circle. She winked. Kat's behaviour, from snapping 18 pictures of the garden shed, to making me get under a dressing gown, to darting off to buy a nail polish remover, was making my brain spin. Remember Ted? Yes, the London Eye. Dad stopped walking. He folded his arms and looked at me, then at Kat. So that's what this is about, he said. You two are on a trail, huh? Kat did a hands-raised shoulder shrug. Then she grabbed Dad's arm. Dad, it won't do any harm. You never know. If we go back at the same time as we were there yesterday, he might even show up. He might not know his way back to our house, but anyone can find their eye again, wherever they'd got to. We just want to have another look. Get in a pod, see what it's like. See things as Salim must have seen them. It was another one of those sentences that everybody finishes in their heads, not out loud. Kat's lip trembled. I once heard Mum say that Kat had Dad wrapped around her little finger. I had no idea what Mum was talking about. I looked at Kat's little finger and imagined Dad doing it, going around it, in a miniature stretched and pummeled into an odd-looking living ring. Dad drew Kat towards him and gave her a squeeze. It's really hard, kitten, I know, he said. Kitten is what Dad called Kat when she was small. He looked up at the sky. The eye it is. There's a lot of cloud, which is good and bad. Why bad? Said Kat. We won't see that far. Why good? I said. Because it won't be too crowded, Ted, which means we won't have long to queue. Let's go. Okay, so from that chapter, tomorrow we will be looking at a guided reading session using a double page spread from there, so look out for that tomorrow morning. But that is chapter 16.